Using a SmartBoard. Hi, I am Samantha and I will be completing your SmartBoard training with you. Today we are going to talk about how to use a SmartBoard and how to use it interactively in a meeting setting. A SmartBoard is an interactive whiteboard that can be used to project things onto a screen during meetings to allow for interactive presentation. It also allows for touch control and computer applications. Why use a SmartBoard? SmartBoards are used during meetings to allow for meeting objectives and ideas to be presented. It also is a tool used to get more people involved. Many of times it is used to enlarge new products and products to demonstrate. When getting started with a SmartBoard, you first have to turn it on, and then you can use the pens to interact with the SmartBoard. Then the pens are different colors to help you organize your work. The digital ink layer or floating toolbar is shown on the side of the screen. When clicking on this, you are given many different options and tools to use, as seen below. Ink-aware applications allows you to use Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and more with your SmartBoard, and more when using your SmartBoard. Notes, when taken in the application, can be saved to your computer. The notebook file is where you put text, images, and videos. You can add pages as needed and organize the pages into groups or categories. It will look like this. The objects are options you have to interact with the objects on the page, such as pictures and text. You can move, resize, rotate, clone, crop, and so much more. The gallery is a database with different graphics. The graphics can be dragged into the workspace to be added. You can save the graphics in the My Content folder on this file. Here is a SmartBoard training movie that we are going to watch on how to use a SmartBoard in action.
This is a SmartBoard for Beginners tutorial. We're going to start by talking about the toolbar up here. And just one of the very first and basic things that you can do when opening or when using notebook software is just to add a page. So notice my page got inserted here. This little arrow, you can delete your page and add it again. So this is just your slideshow right here about all the pages that you can insert or delete. You can also right-click on the pages and delete that way. Okay? So we talked about adding a page. Next thing we're going to talk about is using other buttons on the toolbar. Right here is your text. And I'm going to select this one. And you can type whatever your text might be. And up here we're going to practice using our undo button and redo button. So that's something that your students will probably use a lot of. You can actually lock the text too, especially you're going to notice how I'm on my text feature. I can't select it until I get my mouse, click on it. Now I can click on the little arrow because this is now an object. Click on this arrow and I can lock in place. And one of the reasons I find that you might want to do this is especially if you're giving this to a class of students and you have directions that you don't want them to move around. I like to lock my directions. We're also going to, you could pick up a pen on the board or you can use just your pen icon here and you can write whatever you want to write. Try writing a word. And go back to your arrow. And we're going to recognize, remember, because we've written it, it's an object. I can make this smaller or bigger. And I'm also going to, oops, should have locked that. I'm also going to, there's a feature, now that I've selected my object, where it will actually recognize it and turn it into text. Okay, so that's using your text tool up here on the toolbar and also using your pen tool. There's another pen on the top of your toolbar. This is called a magic pen, and you'll notice it has the stars next to it. One of the features that the magic pen is capable of is if you draw a circle, it's going to do something called a spotlight. So if you had something in your notebook slide that you wanted the students to focus in on, you could spotlight it and say, okay, now some people think this is the chin of a young lady, some people think this is the nose of an old lady. You can also move your spotlight, okay? So you could talk about how this is her hat and her hair of the young lady, and there's the eye of the old lady. Using your spotlight. You can X out when you're done. I'm going to show you one more thing with the magic pen. We're going to zoom into this area right here. So all I did is draw a rectangle, and that rectangle allows you to zoom into, if you ever want to focus on, greater detail of an image or text or whatever it may be. That's your magic pen. Magic pen also allows you to write, and you'll know the text. Oops, it does not recognize when you're writing the letter O. Look what's happening to my name. It's going to disappear slowly. When you're writing the letter O or drawing your spotlight, it doesn't recognize the difference between text and spotlight. So your O's are typically always going to turn into a spotlight. That's one of the features Smart Technologies is working on. Okay, so that's our magic pen. Moving on, we're going to talk about the shape pen. And up here, the shape pen is, you can draw whatever shape you want with the shape pen. And when you're done, it's going to automatically, now that wasn't a very good rectangle, you can actually select it now and cut and try again. Let's get your shape pen, draw a rectangle, and it's going to pop it into that shape automatically. Now you could come up here on your line segment bar and you could grab your ray, and you might want to say, point to the leaf. Here's your text again. We are going to write the word leaf in here. Okay. Now, we're going to cover it up because we want students, I already have this in here, and then, oops, undo. You could erase it, and then you could have students, guess what it is before they can come up here and erase to see the answer. And let me show you how I added that white, because you'll probably have all the default pens, but I've added this white one separately. Let me show you how I did that. If you click on pens in this is called your properties tab. Click on your properties tab, and then you're going to go into the line effects. You can choose the thickness of your line, and you can also choose the color, and I chose white so that the eraser, it looks like there's nothing there. Solid fill, image fill, maybe? No, solid fill, it's done that. Okay, so there you've got your solid fill, and then you've written your word in there, and you might want a pen that's the same color as this one. So what you could do is click on your pen icon, make sure you're on line style, thickness. You can get your little dropper here and just drop that same color, and then you want to save tool properties. And notice up here on your pens, now you've got that color, and it's going to fill this area in. Okay, and then when you're ready, you can erase, have a student come up here and erase for the answer. Okay, so that's we talked about two things there. We talked about the shape tool and how you can, easily, it'll still make a tool even though I'm on, it'll still make a shape even though I'm on a different, pin setting. And we also talked about how to add your own personal customized pin setting. Okay, on the next slide we're going to talk about how to animate objects. And I'm going to show you here, I have in the gallery searched for the word, I think I searched birds, And here's a related folder. Here's my bird folder. And I went in and I just dumped all of these, little clip art items. If I don't want it, I can select my mouse and cut and cut. Okay, and then I found, something that didn't belong. Here's my pictures, and then I dumped a little frog over there. And I resized him, obviously, he's smaller. Okay, so if I have students coming up here and doing an interactive activity, click on the image that doesn't belong. What you could do then is select the one that doesn't belong, come back over here to Properties, choose Object Animation, and maybe we'll do a spin on this one. Okay, so, and then you could write in the directions, so one that doesn't belong will spin. So when you're on this page and you're clicking, the students are clicking on all your objects, the one that doesn't belong is going to spin. So that's one way of making something interactive for students. And that's called object animation. Smart Notebook also allows you to add tables very easily. And this is your table tool right up here. You can make your graph whatever size you want, and it just pops it right in. Once you've got your table in here, it's pretty easy to, for example, let's say you're graphing the weather. Okay, and your kids every month, oops, let's go to related folders. We really want a weather folder. Why isn't it good at search? Interesting, it's a lot of folders. Okay, let's search the sun instead.
All right, now that you were able to look at the SmartBoard training video, we are going to work on the activity. The training activity has you completing many different tasks that we have talked about throughout the training. I hope you enjoy it. It is fun. SmartBoards have a lot of really awesome things that you can do with them, and it's just learning how. To conclude, this is the last of our presentation. We ask that you take the time to complete the evaluation and let me know if you have any further questions. I hope that worked. Yes, Charles? I know. She's just going to have to wait a second.